Amazon's putting a 3-day pause on reviews for The Rings of Power. And it's because they're getting review bombed with negative comments about this new Lord of the Rings show called The Rings of Power, which they've just released on Amazon. It's, I think, the most expensive television series of all time. Basically has the production value of a movie, but it's a TV show. So, really expensive stuff here. And again, it's getting absolutely destroyed. Amazon is reportedly putting a 3-day delay on user reviews for all of its content on Prime Video, including the newly released Lord of the Rings show. According to reports, the delay is supposed to help stave off review bombing or the act of flooding a particular show, movie, game, or book with negative remarks. An Amazon representative told Variety that it put the policy in place to give the service time to evaluate whether a user review comes from an actual viewer, not a bot or troll looking to hijack the reviews section. Amazon introduced a policy earlier this summer, starting with its reboot, A League of Their Own, which contended with review bombers who opposed the show's political stance. The Rings of Power is, unfortunately, dealing with a similar influx of negative reviews, with some users targeting its inclusion of actors from underrepresented backgrounds. The series offers a different take on J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings universe and is set during Middle-earth's Second Age. Amazon says the series raked in 25 million global viewers the day it premiered, making it the biggest debut for Amazon Prime Video to date. But despite Amazon's efforts to hold back a wave of bad reviews on its platform, this doesn't stop the Rings of Power from getting review bombed on other websites like Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb, which apparently is owned by Amazon. What the fuck? I did not know that. That sucks. The series currently has a general audience rating of 34% on Rotten Tomatoes, while 24.7% of reviewers on IMDb gave it 1 star. Damn, that's pretty crazy. It says in 2019, yada, 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 yada. Basically, people are pissed off about this Amazon show, and it's getting review bombed. It's getting, very negative reviews from just normal people watching it. And there's a variety of reasons for that. I think the most obvious one that a lot of people have been pointing out is because there's a lot of, people online that got triggered by the fact that there's like people of color in this new show. There's like some dwarves that are like black or elves that are black or whatever. And obviously, people are racist and they're going to take out their bigotry on this show without even probably watching it. So, a lot of people probably didn't even watch a single episode of the show. They just decided to give it a 1 star because it had a black person in it and they don't like diversity, which is obviously ridiculous. But that being said, I am fucking sick of this narrative from Amazon, from Disney, from all of these corporations, because this happens every goddamn fucking time that a show comes out now. Oops, did not mean to put that up on screen. But yeah, every goddamn time a show comes out now, whether it's She-Hulk or fucking the Obi-Wan show that came out on Disney Plus or Amazon's The Rings of Power. This happens every fucking time. There's always going to be like a vocal minority of people online that are bitching about diversity and that are acting like the fact that there's a woman or a black person in a show is the end of the world. That's always going to be a problem. And yes, it sucks. And yes, it should be addressed and it should be criticized and all that stuff. But I am fucking sick of every single time one of these shows releases, the studio turning around and acting like all criticism of it is based on racism or bigotry, when in reality, let's be honest, this show looks kind of like shit. Like I haven't watched the show yet. I just watched the trailer, but it looks not good to me. Like I have no interest in watching it. And I've heard a lot of valid criticisms of it from people that are definitely not racist. They're not fucking incels. They just don't like the show. They think it's, poorly done. They think the CGI looks like shit. They think it's a shadow of the Peter Jackson films, and they have legitimate criticisms of it, and that's fine. It's okay to criticize a piece of fucking corporate entertainment, the most expensive show of all time, and what some people, are referring to as kind of like a bastardization of Tolkien's writing, right? So while I'm not purposefully or, personally invested in Lord of the Rings or Tolkien or whatever, I think it's perfectly fine to criticize a show like this and to review it negatively. And again, to act like all the criticism of the show, which is what a lot of people are doing, is solely because of the racism and the bigotry. I just think it's reductive and it plays right into the corporation's hand. It makes Amazon look virtuous, oh, we're the ones that are just doing the noble thing by, diversifying Lord of the Rings or whatever. And all of these fucking incels online are coming after us for it. I just think that's a reductive situation. And again, it seems like from what I've consumed, there's a lot of valid critiques of the show that have nothing to do with the fucking black elves in it or whatever.
Well, yeah, obviously, right? They're running cover for themselves. It's the same kind of corporate shielding that they always kind of try and do. It's very like Silicon Valley, like new age liberal, to try and like be like so outwardly progressive that it like shields you from any kind of other uh criticism. Let's call it the Dan Price effect for now, right? It's like, oh, you know, you're a fucking evil maniacal monster in the back shadows, but I pay everybody at my fucking office 80 grand a year, and then like nobody, like it kind of like takes the heat off of anything in the background. And you know, you can just point and say, oh, you only want to attack me for this instead. It like it's a perfect example of how they run cover for themselves. So yeah, the big thing that pisses me off about this, and I'll just say this as a lifelong Lord of the Rings fan, I think the very first cinematic experience I ever had was seeing Return of the King in theaters, or at least like the first like really powerful one. I remember being super proud of myself that I didn't go to the bathroom a single time, and it was like a 3 hour movie anyway. Um, the way that I felt watching those movies, and I watched them all the time. I was one of those annoying little bastards that would watch the like extended cut version and like, you know, all three of them. And I really, really fucked with the Lord of the Rings. Okay. And I also had like next to zero interest in watching a TV show about it, but I had like maybe like 1 or 2% interest. I'm like, well, maybe it'll be like Game of Thrones or something, which I never watched or got into at all. But if Game of Thrones was about Lord of the Rings, maybe I could have convinced myself into it. So I'm like, okay, let's watch the trailer. And I actually think we reacted to the trailer live. Maybe it was on Screen Feeds, maybe it was on the Vanguard. I don't fucking remember. And I looked at it and I was like, oh no, it looks too much like The Hobbit, which I also hated, but like a cheaper, shittier Hobbit. And I know everybody's like, it was the most expensive show ever made. Doesn't fucking look like it to me, guy. It looks digital. It looks oversaturated. It looks like the fucking CGI, wherever they used it, was probably like, I mean, heavy hand. It looked bad. And I was watching Harry Potter yesterday. I know, cancel me, but and I was looking at the special effects even in Harry Potter, and like the troll, for
example, the first Harry Potter
movie. Harry Potter, yeah, Harry Potter 1, the Sorcerer's Stone. That's the first couple are the only ones I really fuck with at all. So to me, that just is Harry Potter. But anyway, you see the troll in the bathroom, right? And I was looking at it and I was like, I know exactly how they would have animated that dumb bastard right now. If they'd made this movie now, it would have been like, it just would have looked way worse to me. It would have looked way more cartoony, like way more humanoidish. Like I don't know, it would have looked like the BFG movie kind of, or whatever, right? You know what I'm saying? And instead they had this kind of like weird looking, fucking dopey looking, or I mean, it was a troll, but it looked more like an orc in modern, like fucking, you know, understanding. And I don't know, if you look at that and it came out like 20 years ago, and you look at Lord of the Rings and those all came out like 20 years ago, I think what you're seeing here is like a cheapening of the art. And that's what Gavin and I feel like have a real beef with, right? Is that they're kind of cheapening the art, and you know, obviously representation is tight and that's important, and obviously I want, you know, people to grow up and see themselves on screen and, you know, be represented in sci-fi fantasy in a way that they haven't in the past. But why is it that now that we're fucking using representation, we have to make dog shit fucking content? Like, no. Yeah, just as much as those people have a right to be in movies, they have the right to be in movies and TV shows that don't suck, that are going to stand the test of time, right? That don't look like cheap 3D printed facsimiles for content, right? Like, that just like we're shot out of a fucking corporation. That's what this kind of feels like. It feels like Amazon found a way to take one of the most beloved IPs of all time and take the soul out of it and take everything that made it interesting. Like, say what you will about Peter Jackson, I actually don't think he's that great of a director from the last second half of his catalog. The first half of his catalog is amazing though. And if you, the way that he had so much love and vision, and the way that he saw Middle Earth and his home of New Zealand so intensely, he was like, no, New Zealand is Middle Earth for me. And the way that he projected all of that love and all of that energy onto the fucking movie, it made it fucking ridiculous. And that movie came so close. People don't know this, maybe. That movie came so close to being a fucking disaster. They were shooting like 3 films at once. Everybody's hair was on fire. Viggo Mortensen one time talked a bunch of shit on fucking Peter Jackson and was like, this movie was fucking dog shit to work on. Like, everybody was stressed out. Nothing was orderly. We were way behind on everything. But of course, it worked out anyway. And he was able to cut out a fucking masterpiece in the editing room and put out 3 of the best fucking epic fantasy films of the 2000s. And you just don't get any of that love. You don't get any of that texture, that nuance, that beauty, that the actual act of all the people that are working on it. It feels like it just has a CGI sheen over it. Like, I want to feel the makeup person's impact on this. I want to feel the set designer's impact on this. And I don't know. In the clips I've watched and tried to get excited about it, I just feel like there's none of that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally 100% agree. The show does not look great. And also, it's not even actually based on any actual book or like J.R.R. Tolkien novel. It's literally just like fan fiction, like Lord of the Rings fan fiction with a fucking $1 billion budget. So again, like, are there people that are being racist and bigoted, and are there people that are, you know, way too concerned about the diversity in this? Yes, undeniably. There's a whole fucking cottage industry of YouTube channels like Critical Drinker, for example, and all they fucking do is bitch about diversity in modern day entertainment, and it's super fucking annoying, and it's just like the most like fucking low effort anti SJW kind of content, and that is a thing. Like, let's be honest, that is 100% a thing. And I'm sure a lot of the people that did go on and give this show a 1-star review had never even seen it. They never were going to watch it. All they care about is that. So, you know, not to underplay that at all. That is serious. But what annoys me is then when the entire fucking media, you know, they look at this, you know, you look on Google search, every single fucking article when you type in Lord of the Rings is about the racist backlash. The, you know, Neil Gaiman weighs in on the racist backlash. The Lord of the Rings hits back at the racist trolls. The why wokeness comes to Middle Earth. Like, every single fucking TV show today has to be turned into a goddamn culture war, instead of us just talking about the fucking substance of the show. You know, it's fucking exhausting. Like I said, this happened when Obi-Wan came out. This happened when She-Hulk came out. And it's obviously so fucking ginned up, again, partially to deflect any valid criticism of these television programs and of the content, the quality, the special effects, the acting, whatever. Again, we can talk about it, but every single time one of these shows comes out, it all turns into a massive fucking culture war, and it's just goddamn exhausting. So on one hand, yeah, obviously, partially that's the fault of the racist trolls. They need to stop, but also stop fucking feeding into them. Stop giving them attention. You know, every single time this happens, all these articles get written, all of their like stupid, shitty criticisms get blown up and magnified by all of these fucking mainstream rags that have nothing better to write about than this culture war garbage. And it's just annoying. It's exhausting. I'm fucking sick of hearing it. I want to have a conversation about the quality of the show, of the content of the series, the acting, the special effects. Let's talk about what this represents. Instead, this is all anyone's talking about. And like I said, it's just fucking annoying and exhausting, and I'm fucking done with it. It makes me not want to watch the show in the first place. So, you know, stop giving these trolls attention. Stop writing a fucking 5,000 virtuous articles where you virtue signal about how, you know, anti-racist you are or whatever, and just talk about the show without giving these fucking trolls attention. It's so annoying. And again, it just plays right into Amazon's hand. It plays right into these corporations' hand. The same thing happened with Disney and She-Hulk. You know, they put out that super cringy clip of She-Hulk, you know, lecturing the Hulk about like how much sexism she's experienced or everything. And then when people made fun of it, what did they turn around and say? Well, everyone's just racist. You guys are just racist and you're fucking sexist or whatever. It's so fucking exhausting.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah, it way better to actually focus on the merits of the show, and then whenever there are trolls, you just be like, LOL, fuck you. Like, you literally, like, I mean, you can't take these people seriously at all. You can't give them oxygen because they aren't giving substantive criticism. They're just imposing their like fucking ridiculous hatred and bigotry onto whatever subject matter that they come across. And yeah, as Gavin mentioned, there's a whole pet industry of jerking those fuckers off, and they're disgusting. And if you want to make an entire YouTube show about film and shit, and all you want to do is talk about and bitch about the casting of like, oh, there's black people in this or women in this, like, then I think you are the biggest scum on the fucking earth, and I have absolutely no respect for you and only disdain. That being said, all those people want is fucking attention. They want the woke left to get fucking outraged by their commentary, and they can't handle the truth and all this kind of shit. Much better just to laugh them off, ban them from your fucking chat, and then talk about the real substance of the film in a way that's inspiring for everybody. And yeah.